months after a shooting at the Varsity, we streamed the hearing live on our WSB TV News app as it happened. And new at 5, Channel 2's Lori Wilson learned new details about how money, jewelry, and cars could all be tied in with this shooting. Lori is live downtown near the Varsity. Lori?
Jovita, rapper Lil Durk turned himself in after a shooting across the street in the parking lot of the Varsity. A detective on the stand today said the rapper, who is used to being in front of the cameras, was actually caught on cameras at the Varsity, the BP here, and other businesses that put him at the scene of the crime.
They staged because they knew I was going to kill him. And Durk told me on the case, I got a text message in my phone right now from Vaughn.
Yo, face! Yo, your face, please! With Durk on top!
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, so the annual conversation about if Lil Durk told on King Vaughn have came up yet once again. Now if you tapped in with the drill culture, you know this conversation comes up probably about every couple of months. Everybody's wondering, did Lil Durk snitch on King Vaughn or not? Now in one breath you got people saying, well, if King Vaughn passed away, then it's a no-brainer that he tells on King Vaughn, because at the end of the day, you know, he's gone. So to put a situation on a person that's not here, I guess is a no-brainer, so you could escape whatever jail time that you was facing, right? However, in the streets, it's been a debate on whether that's considered snitching or not. Some people say, well, if he told on him whether he's alive or not, that's still telling. Then you got the people that feel, well, it's not telling because he's no longer here. So even if it is put on him, he can't do no time. Now, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not about to sit here and give my opinion because we already did that in previous videos. And I've learned with the internet, everybody's going to be biased based on whoever it is. A lot of times, if it's Lil Durk, they'll side with him. But if it was anybody else, the regular Joe Schmo in the streets, they'll say, well, yes, it is snitching, and they'll give you a whole explanation as to why. So y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about that. If somebody tell on somebody that's deceased, is it still considered snitching or not? Now, here's what we're going to talk about today. So it just came out that another YouTuber or blogger by the name of Byron Blake, he had presented some paperwork in which he's saying that Lil Durk didn't tell, and in fact, the documents that he received, I guess, is not sealed. It's open, and if you want to see it, you can. People are just not doing the footwork that they need to properly view the documents if they really wanted to. Now, like I always tell y'all, we bring awareness to certain things, and I want to go over the documents, but not only that, we spoke to OT Vaughni's father, in which y'all know, and he enlightened us that a conversation was had with a lawyer that would explain that some money was given, and that would explain that some documents were allegedly destroyed that would show that basically somebody was told on. I'm gonna just leave it at that. So we're going to get into his post and what he had to say along with the documents, but before we do, make sure you hit that thumbs up button so we can get this video into the algorithm. And if you're not subscribed to the platform already, make sure you do so now. Let's get into it. Now, Byron Blake would take to his Instagram account with the document, and he would caption it as he stated, quote, "Everybody swear up and down this paperwork sealed. But the truth is, they just don't want to find the truth, because then they won't be able to use your name for views. How y'all out here spreading word or N-word told on somebody else when the paperwork say clear as day he claimed self-defense? This anything for views era gotta die fast. Hashtag free smirk, hashtag long live King Vaughn. Y'all still think he snitched on him?" Now the document itself would say, quote, "The defendant voluntarily turned himself into authorities on 5/30/2019 after learning that he had arrest warrants against him. The arrest warrant stemmed from a shooting outside an Atlanta nightclub in February 2019. While the defense does not have the arrest warrants or police reports in the underlying shooting that the defendant is charged with, the defense is aware of who the purported shooting victim is. The victim is a dangerous felon who was arrested in Chicago after being involved in another shooting. The victim is being held without bail in Cook County, Illinois. Based on the victim's criminal history and most recent conduct, the defense inherently has a prima facie case of justification, assuming that the defendant was a shooter or involved in the shooting. The defendant is not a flight risk. He owns property in Jefferson, Georgia, Jackson County. He resides there with his fiancée and infant child. If granted bond, the defendant will continue to reside at his Jefferson home. Now, in order for everything to make sense, let's break everything properly down and explain what prima facie means for y'all that don't know. Now, according to Wikipedia, it is a quote, "The term prima facie is used in modern legal English to signify that upon initial examination, sufficient corroborating evidence appears to exist to support a case. In common law jurisdictions, a reference to prima facie evidence denotes evidence that, unless rebutted, would be sufficient to prove a particular proposition or fact. The term is used similarly in academic philosophy. Most legal proceedings in most jurisdictions require a prima facie case to exist, following which proceedings may then commence to test it and create a ruling. So in layman's terms, it just means like at first, or initially, or at first sight. Now, a prima facie case of justification is something that's a little different but similar. But as Google would tell us, it is a quote, "A prima facie case of justification refers to the initial evidence presented that supports a claim of justification in a legal context, typically in defense against a tort or criminal charge. It means that, at first glance, the evidence appears sufficient to justify the actions taken by the defendant unless proven otherwise by the opposing party." But this is where something called a burden of proof will come in whenever it comes to a prima facie case. Now, according to Wikipedia, it is a quote, "In most legal proceedings, one party has a burden of proof which requires it to present prima facie evidence for all of the essential facts in this case. If it cannot, its claim may be dismissed without any need for a response by other parties. A prima facie case might not stand or fall on its own if an opposing party introduces other evidence or asserts an affirmative defense. It can be reconciled only with a full trial. Sometimes the introduction of prima facie evidence is informally called making a case or building a case. For example, in a trial under criminal law, the prosecution has the burden of presenting prima facie evidence of each element of the crime charged against the defendant. In the M case, this would include evidence that the victim was in fact deceased, that the defendant's act caused the death, and that the defendant acted with malice forethought. If no party introduces new evidence, the case stands or falls just by the prima facie evidence or lack thereof, respectfully. Now, why do we have to bring all that up? Well, according to the document, they said a prima facie case of justification was going to be presented due to the criminal history of the victim and most recent conduct. It said that the victim was a dangerous felon who was arrested in Chicago after being involved in another shooting. Now, that's crazy to me within itself because one thing shouldn't have to do with the other, but that's the law for you. Besides, if y'all remember, the evidence that was stacked against Durk was solid. Remember, it was said by detectives that they seen Durk on surveillance driving the car, and the shots came from the driver's side, in which they witnessed Durk driving on surveillance and even pointed out his tattoo.
4 months after a shooting at the Varsity, we streamed the hearing live on our WSB TV News app as it happened. And new at 5, Channel 2's Lori Wilson learned new details about how money, jewelry, and cars could all be tied in with this shooting. Lori is live downtown near the Varsity. Lori?
Jovita, rapper Lil Durk turned himself in after a shooting across the street in the parking lot of the Varsity. A detective on the stand today said the rapper, who is used to being in front of the cameras, was actually caught on cameras at the Varsity, the BP here, and other businesses that put him at the scene of the crime.
Now, King Vaughn was given the same charges as Durk, but it was never known that Vaughn was on camera for that shooting. It always appeared that all the evidence was stacked against Durk instead of King Vaughn. That case sat for 3 years. In the midst of that time, 2 people who were involved in that case out of the 4 passed away. Originally on the case was Lil Durk, King Vaughn, THF Bezu, and another man. Now, the case happened in 2019. King Vaughn would end up passing away in 2020, and then 2 years later in 2022, the charges against Lil Durk was dropped. Now, TMZ did an article based on the situation of DA Fannie Willis dropping all the charges, as it would say, quote, Fulton County DA Fani Willis recently filed paperwork with the court declining to move forward with the case against Durk because of prosecutorial discretion, but she's declined to elaborate beyond that. Willis noted there was probable cause to initially arrest Durk, but after a thorough review of the facts, she decided against moving forward with the case. Durk's attorney, Manny Aurora, tells TMZ Willis simply didn't have enough evidence to prove her case against the rapper. But this is where it gets crazy, because the same DA Fani Willis will also go on record and say that if King Vaughn was alive, then he would have been the one convicted for the shooting. Now let's get this straight here. What is prosecutorial discretion? According to Google, it's the authority of prosecutors to decide whether to bring charges against a person for a crime and which charges to file. This power allows them to tailor their approach based on the specifics of each case, considering factors like the strength of evidence and the seriousness of the crime. Now, between me and you, let's go back. They said they had this man on camera, he was on surveillance, they identified him as the shooter, and they identified him as the driver and seen his arm out the window. They also, if y'all remember, they had that picture of him in the SUV, point blank. Now, I'm not here to prosecute or any of that. That's none of my business. I'm just trying to wonder how the evidence wasn't serious enough, or the evidence was lack thereof when it comes to the case. His lawyer said they didn't have strong enough evidence. But what more evidence do you need when you're on surveillance? Now, this also brings us to what Fani Willis said when she said that King Vaughn would have been charged for it if he was alive. What grounds do they have to charge him and convict him for the crime? What was the evidence? Did they have him on camera? Did they have fingerprints, DNA? What? To this day, they still haven't told us why, properly, he would have been convicted if he was alive for the 2019 shooting that him and Durk was involved in. Now, on another note, we have an audio from OTF Vaughny's dad explaining what transpired between King Vaughn and Lil Durk in their case involving the 2019 shooting. Y'all check this out.
I mean, they staged because they knew they was going to kill him. And Durk told them on the case, I got a text message on my phone right now from Vaughn's lawyer, which is Scott. This is the one, the gray-haired gentleman that's in all the videos. His name is Scott. Yeah, I got a text message on my phone. I called him and tell him, man, you know, I need that paperwork to show this nigga told, so I have some leverage so I can get some bread. Nigga fake like he get into an accident, a car accident. Fake like he get into a car accident and hang up the phone. I said, I'm not gonna call you right back. He sent me a text message back. He texted me back. So I asked him, he texted me back, so I'm sorry you got cut out the money, sorry you got cut out the money, this, that, and other. I destroyed the file. Durk told on the case. And guess what? Vaughn was going to trial, so therefore if he went to trial, he ain't got no other choice but for the statements to come out. You know what I'm saying? But they knew they gonna kill him before trial come. Anyway. You understand? Yeah. They gonna kill him before trial comes, so it ain't gonna show. So why he told us about Durk? Vaughn didn't lie in his raps. He said, you could, nigga, I would have bonded you out. You could have stayed in my house. This nigga had a public defender. They talking about, he talking about his rap, who he was on his body into attempts with. Vaughn don't lie in his raps.
So if you didn't understand what he was saying, basically OTF Vaughny's father said he contacted Vaughn's lawyer, whose name is, let's just say, Scott. I don't want to say his last name, but he said his name is Scott. He contacted him because he wanted information based on their case, because he wanted to prove to the world that Lil Durk told. But for some reason, the guy acted like he got into a car accident, hung the phone up, and then he never replied to him. When he did reply to him, he basically told him, listen, I destroyed all the files. I'm sorry you got cut out of whatever money. I don't know what that was about. But then they left it at that. So the files were quote unquote destroyed. Now, if you think he's lying, he came with receipts. Here's a text message that he sent to the lawyer, and it will read, quote, may peace and blessings be upon you. Hope everything is okay with you and your little fender bender. Please give me a call when you get time, but you have to stand with those who you know are solid. Me, and your conversation doesn't have to go beyond me and you. I just need those documents so I can get some type of leverage so I can get some money. Please. The lawyer responded saying, quote, thank you. I'm okay. Car is okay. No damage. I do not have any documents. I destroyed the file. I'm sorry that you got cut out of the money. Now, it sounds kind of crazy with a lawyer saying that he destroyed whatever file that he has. I don't know, but here y'all have it. Y'all come to your own conclusion on everything. Y'all let me know what y'all think about all this. Let me know what you think about what you heard. And when it comes to the annual Did Lil Durk Snitch on King Vaughn topic, y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments as well. Now don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. And I'm out.